What's up, isolators? This is Saiyan here coming at you with another unboxing video just to keep you guys entertained throughout these pretty tough times, guys. This is no joke. Um, let's look at unboxing an Earth Federation starter from set 3 from MS Gundam War card series. Yay! So we did Principality of Zion, not Zion. Apologies for that. And today, probably coming with some additional mispronunciations, we will crack open this bad boy and see what's inside. I know what's inside, but do you? You're at the right place if you don't. Or if you want to look at some pretty cards, then stay with me. So, the second starter from the third series, it only ever seen the two starters released, Earth Federation and Principality of Zion. Yes, they were planning boosters. In fact, if you're savvy enough, you probably can pick up that they actually had a few cards probably designed, but they never seen the light of day. How do we know that? Well, here's a little hint there. Look, 2 boosters for the 2 different sets that was supposed to be coming out. Anyway, we got the usual stuff. Rulebook. This is the most up-to-date rulebook, but forget about it. We are still reworking the rules to make this game a lot better, a lot more playable. So stay tuned for that to be fully released, fully completed. We are testing, jigging a lot of things, and it will be amazing. Really good. War experience tokens, you still need this stuff, so that's included there. And of course, very importantly, our, what is this, 30 cards, which they had the balls to call the starter deck. Now, realistically, if you want to play this game, you want to get a 50 card deck together. No more, no less than 50 cards, guys, and you can include 3 copies of every card, except for a few exceptions, but again, when the time is right, we will let you guys know about all that. Let's start with our foil card. All these cards have curled up over time crazily. There is no vacuum packing on these cards. They're just super curved. But, they are still playable. So, to start with, we have Auro Ray, and he is a new type pilot. Only an MS card with a new type pilot attached can defend against an MS card with this pilot attacks. So for a 3 cost, this is a really sweet card. Just basically pretty much makes whoever Amuro is attached to unblockable. The likelihood of your opponent having a new type is, I wouldn't say it's like super high, because the majority of the cards were released for Wing Gundam and Oz. Yes, there are new type cards for Principality of Zion, and well, we have Char, and we have Silamas. She's also a new type, and the promo Silamas, we've errated, so she also counts as new type. It's crazy that he or she is a new type, but not on the promo. But really cool card, and on top of that, if Amuro or Silamas are attached to Gundam, then you can increase your clash points from 4 to 6, which is really good. That's what Gundam does. As forecast is also C, so those pesky unblockable cards can be quite easily blocked by Gundam. Although the problem is, if your opponent does run like a C deck with Oz, for example, Cancers and other cards like that, then the one Gundam not gonna be enough, but it's enough to slow them down either way. So these are the 2 foil rares, and we have a Silamas, which is really cool because she increases clash points by 1. So actually, if we have Silamas on Gundam, we get 7 clash points, which is pretty amazing. Another rare is the removal card for Earth Federation, Ryu Jose. Not only does he give an extra clash point, but you can blow him up with an attached MS card to blow up one of your opponent's MS card, and of course, if that has a pilot attached, unless that pilot returns to the hand, that's also gonna go to the dry dock. So really cool card. Definitely a must, and auto include a staple for this particular faction. Kai Shiden, another 2-cost pilot, also adds 2 to the clash point, but you need to pay a price if you want to attack with the suit that Kai is attached to. Hayato Kobayashi adds 2 when defending, and if the suit that he's attached to gets blown up, he comes back to your hand. So really good defensive card. You will always have him in your hand unless your opponent is using Vanquished. That's the only one that can send MS2 to the defunct right now. Bright Noah, again, just an amazing pilot. He's a dock pilot, so you don't want really to attach him to any MS suits, and he increases all the battlefield cards' clash points by 1. Really, really, really good card. Mirai Yashima, she is basically the second coming of Trace from the Oz starter, except that she will only give the 2 clash points for the cost of 1 if that is a battleship card, but that is just still super, super good. Mirai Yashima is an easy auto include again in any Earth Federation deck. And then we got Matilda Ajan, and she is basically able to get cards back from the dry dock to your hand if she gets the attack through to your opponent's supply base. White base, the famous white base, it's a battleship card, and it must be blocked. If it can't be blocked, then it goes obviously into the damage. Battleships, with the new rulings, they need to be blocked by a minimum of 2 suits, but only if the suits allow to be able to defend with each other. So a lot of the times battleships can be unblockable, which is a really, really good feature. Plus, every time you get, 1 more clash than what the prices you pay for it is really good. And with white base, you pay 3 for a 4 cost. So that's amazing. Gun cannon, probably not the best suits in this particular game, but it does something very different. It can reduce the clash points of one of your opponent's suits by 3, but then you can't attack or defend until your next attack phase. So definitely not my most favorite card, but it does some good job, and it's the only other 4 cost besides Gundam in the deck. No, sorry, I was lying. Gun Tank as well. So the Gun Tank, and Gundam are the 3 4 costs in the deck. Gun Tank is really good actually. He can attack together with Gundam on a gun cannon, and he gets +1 clash point if he does so. So what that means is you can essentially attack together with these 2 guys, and just by that, these 2 will be a 9 cost going against whatever your opponent might decide to defend with. So that's super powerful. That's really, really, really good. Core Fighter, oh my god, I love this card so much. So it's the only 0 cost suit that is in the game currently, and it reduces the price of all RX-782 Gundam cards by 1 when this card is in play. So if your starting hand has like maybe 2 or God forbid 3 of these, if you have 3 of these first turn, you can play out the Gundam. If you got 2 of these, you can get Gundam online on turn 2, basically. And if you can play Silomas turn 1, then turn 2 you have a 7 cost to attack with. So, such a good card. Love Core Fighter so much. GM, another decent suit. Really shines when it comes to defending because it becomes a 3 clash. It's nothing overwhelming. It is pretty much at the level of the Leos from Oz, but it's still like your generic grunt that comes down and does some stuff. G Fighter, it's a cool card. Again, a 2 for 2, and it can attack together with Gundam. and it increases its attack by 1. It can't be in play if you have G-Bull or G-Sky in play. Now, G-Sky is not a card that was ever designed by Bandai, but we might just have some fan art for that. G-Bull, this just gets a straight up +1 when defending. It is pretty much the spit copy of GM, except that you can't have G-Bull in play if you have G-Fighter or G-Sky in play already. But I mean, to me, G-Bull looks like just a filler because GM does exactly the same. Why would you not run GM? Especially because you can run your 1-cost ball, which gets a 1 clash point increase when attacking with GM. So GM is good defending, but if you get ball down, then they can attack together, and you have a 4 attacking power between 2 suits for a cost of 3. So I think that's definitely an element of flexibility when it comes to these two cards, particularly with them being so low cost cards. I think it is you need to have some very specific strategic decision not to include these in a deck. So I do like these cards very much. Now, here's the second battleship, and again, this card is amazing, Magellan. It's a 2 for 2, but if you have a battlefield card in play, it actually gets +1 clash point. And I'm going to come back to this guy when we get to the location, so I'm going to leave Magellan here on the side. And we also have Big Tray. Big Tray is the third battleship. It's a 3 for 3. It's also sand, so we basically have both of the element type suits covered here. We can block sand, we can block sea, we can block new type. The only thing we can't do is, we still need somebody to be able to block battleships, which we don't really have. All our guys can attack together, but they can't defend together, so battleship attacks will still mostly come through. But Big Tray is another decent card if you have an unattached pilot in your dock in play, then you can increase the clash point of this card by 1. Now, if we go back to our pilot, it was I'm gonna get there in a second. So if you got Brian Noah, that already buffs the battleships by 1, and he is a dock pilot. Then a Big Tray will be a 3. +1 from Brian Noah sitting on the dock, +1 from Big Tray's ability by having somebody who's sitting on the dock. So in effect, Big Tray then becomes a 5 clash battleship, which is just really good. Again, really solid card. Yeah, I always had this feeling like Earth Federation is a lot like Voltron. You know that the more cards you get down, the better the synergy between them is. And we also have another 1 cost. So Medea, not the best, but it's still a 1 cost. Reduce clash points damage to MS type battleship cards by 1 when this card is in play, except by attacks. So what Medea does, it doesn't really do a hell of a lot. We got 3 battleship cards in the deck, and most of them will probably do a pretty good job in defending themselves anyway. And we don't really have a huge amount of direct damage cards that would deal damage to battleships. And even if they do, it's normally around about the level of 3. I think Sand Kingdom just pops into my mind. I think that's one that reduces, well, it deals 3 damage to a suit. So Medea really doesn't do a hell of a lot, and it's realistically more a filler card here than anything else. Now, the big removal for Earth Federation is the Solar System. It destroys a battlefield and an MS card of your choice for a 5 cost, which is expensive, but you probably want to busy yourself getting your pilots, getting your suits down anyway early game, and doing some defending, maybe some attacking with them, and then you can play the solar system when it comes to turn 5 and just remove that key suit that your opponent may have, remove their battlefield. You've just gained a massive amount of advantage. Remember, it says destroy your opponent's battlefield cards, so they will suffer the battle scars from that. So actually, yes, it is a bit expensive, I agree with that, but it is a really good card. Supply Corps, as printed, it is absolutely useless because you basically -1 your hand just to see a new card. But with the errata that we play with, you actually draw 2 cards from your supply base, and with that you come out even. You don't lose cards from your hand. You play this one, you discard one, and then you draw 2. So it's a bit of a rummaging effect, but it is still at least some sort of draw engine for Earth Federation, and this is the only one. So without the errata, you wouldn't even have access to any sort of draw power. So Supply Corps with the errata draws you 2 cards, okay? Now mass production, another one that on its own actually doesn't make any sense whatsoever, so I really don't know what the card designers were thinking of. Really, what are you thinking of? You pay 1 to reduce the cost by 1. This doesn't make any fucking sense. You just minus your hand by 1 card, where you could just pay the extra 1 without paying this card. It's just absolutely nonsense. What we've done is now this card is a 0 cost. It is still shit, pardon my French, but at least now you can consider putting it into your deck, but it's still not good. I'm going to leave this on the side because I have another thing to show you guys when I get to the battlefields. Operation V is an okay card. It gets you a Gundam back from your dry dock to your hand. Can be useful if your Gundam gets removed, if your Gundam gets milled out of your deck. Then basically with Operation V, depending how many you include in the deck, you just have better access to the Gundams, because with any deck, through playtesting we see it a lot that you always get a certain amount of cards milled. War experience points is more of a difficult feat to get to 6 and win the game through that. So Operation V, it's a decent card. It's definitely one of the better ones for Earth Federation. Into the Atmosphere, decrease all MS cards' clash points by 3, even your own. Now, this is supposed to be the big minus effect, or I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but again, for a 4 cost, it is absolutely useless. It is just such a useless card. We're gonna have to do something with this as well, because it just doesn't do anything. The only merit I can see behind running into the Atmosphere is if you get your board swept, which would happen just so rarely. Realistically, the only big sweeper we have is Andor Waltz, and that's also going to sweep your opponent's MS suits. So it's like a dark hole if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh. So then again, this card wouldn't do anything, because nobody will have then any MS cards. This card is only good if your opponent overwhelms you, has many more suits than you do, and then you can, by paying 4, just basically save your deck a lot of damage. But it's realistically like a heal card in Magic. It just delays the inevitable. So again, why would you play it? There's no point, unless you can think of one. And in that case, let me know in the comments below. Minovsky Particles is clearly a card that was made to try and help the Earth Federation to cope against Principality of Xeon. Xeon has at least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 cards, that 3 or 4 different cards that just discard from hand. And also, we also have Self-Sacrifice for Oz, and we also have Memory Loss for Wing Gundam. It's all great, but realistically, all that Minovsky Particles does is, instead of discarding a card, you need to pay 2 to discard this card. So because a lot of discard effects are random, again, this is, you know, nine times, maybe not nine times, but like 7.5 times out of 10, 75% of the time, I just don't really think that this card uh, can be useful for what it's designed to do. It's a side deck card, yeah, sure, I agree with that, but not a main deck card for sure. And then we have Anti-Aircraft Fire, which is another super fringe card. Reduce an MS type battleship card of your choice's clash points by 5. What it does is good, but again, it's more of a side deck card in case you play against Principality of Xeon or play against Earth Federation. In that case, this card is a jackpot to have, but let's be realistic, you're more likely to play against Oz or Wing Gundam. So again, side deck, yeah, sure. Main deck, absolutely not. And now the reason why I put these two guys out. So starting with, let's start with Jabro, which is the rare battlefield card, but I think is the weakest out of the three. So Jabro, you need to have more than 2 MS type battleship cards in play. So you basically need to have 3 battleship cards in play. And then you can increase all defending MS cards' clash points by 1. Okay, it's good, but it's a 4 cost. You need to have 3 battleships down. So the earliest you can play this guy out is turn 5, because you would like play Magellan turn 2, then you would play Big Tray turn 3, then you would play Wide Base turn 4. So the earliest this guy can come out is turn 5. And just to increase your defenses by 1, or albeit, you know, it does increase it for every of your MS cards, which is good, but it's just super hard to get out. Much easier to get out is our side 7, which of course it does have a typo. It requires you more than 1 Wing Gundam MS cards, which is highly unlikely that that's what they meant to do. That should say Earth Federation. Reduce all Earth Federation MS cards and pilot cards is priced by 1. So this already, albeit yes, a little bit more difficult to get out, but in long term, so much more effective to be around than mass production. Even if we look at mass production with the errata, that is a 0 cost card. It's still a lot more fringe than Side 7. Side 7 also, Side 7 doesn't require you to have any suits in play, where mass production does. Side 7 also decreases your pilot cards' price by 1, so yes, the battle scars is very hefty. Destroy 2 of your MS cards, it is big, but the cost savings you can get through Side 7, I think it's worth the risk to run. And then to Magellan, if you guys remember, it's a 2 cost for 2. It increases its clash points by 1 when you have a battlefield card in play. You can have this battlefield down, which is Luna 2. You need to have more than 1 battleship card in play. So this is a little bit better than Jabro. With Jabro, you need to have 3 out. With Luna 2, you need to have 2 battleships out. And it increases all Earth Federation battleship cards' clash points by 1. So just by playing Magellan, let's say you play Magellan turn 2, you play Big Tray turn 3, Luna 2, you play turn 4, because you need to have the 2 battleship cards. Now your Magellan was a 2, but when you play it, it becomes a 3, plus this pumps him for 1 that has 4. It is just really, really powerful. Even if you get this guy a little bit later in the game, if you then have if you then have Bright Noah down, then that will mean your Magellan with these 2 in play is basically a 5 clash point for the cheap price of 2. So it's just really good. Again, I just love the synergies between all these different cards in this particular deck. And I think I shared my thoughts with you guys when I went through the Xeon deck earlier as well, that with both of these decks, I do feel like they have done a fairly good job in sort of trying to include everything that you might need for them to be playable, and that is quite difficult when you only have 30 cards to release. But then we did also get a few promo battlefield cards. We also did get a few promo pilot cards, like Nino Purpleton up there. she's really bad, by the way. So there's absolutely no point to go out your way trying to find one of those. It really doesn't do anything, pretty much. But there are some really cool cards. The promo battlefields, for example, you got one for gun tank, one for gun cannon, one for Gundam. They all come down for one as long as you have that suit in play. It increases their clash points by 2, and the battle scars is that you need to discard 3 cards from your supply base, which is actually not too bad compared to like I would always take to have to maybe mill a few cards from my deck rather than having to destroy one of my MS cards or pilots, because then you pay the cost for that. Yeah, it's not great to get stuff into your dry dock, but some cards can be still recovered. You can also recuperate if you're not attacking in your turn. You can put the bottom card from your dry dock back at the bottom of your supply base, which it can be helpful, particularly if you got search engines. But we have been working on tirelessly to get new cards out for Earth Federation and Principality of Xeon. These are all fan cards, obviously. There is similar effect to what Decipher Star Wars does, with their virtual sets. So obviously we will have something ready for you just to help you guys get another couple of cards that you can play with. But that is still far away to get to a full set where it's not gonna be a full set, but obviously get to the point where we have 20 cards for Earth Federation, 20 cards for Xeon or something like that, to make them both a little bit more playable and introduce a few more different strategies. With both of these factions, we've seen a lot of new keywords, looking at new type ability, looking at battleship, looking at the pilots being so powerful. Actually, both factions have really, really powerful pilots, and I think that does give a huge amount of merit to running either of these factions. It's just with the pilots in play, you can buff so many things. If I have the promo battlefield out for Gundam, Gundam becomes a 6 clash. If I then attach Sailor Mass to Gundam, Gundam becomes a 6, 7, 9. That's a 9. Because obviously he does give +2 when Sailor Mass or Armor Ray is attached. You clearly want to attach Sailor Mass if you're just going for additional power. So that's a 7. With the battlefield, it's a 9. That is pretty powerful on its own. Basically, then you can go ahead and attack together with Gun Tank. So Gun Tank gets +1, and also remember that G Fighter can also attack together with Gundam, and then G Fighter gets +1. Actually, the 3 of them can all attack together because they can both attack with Gundam. And so you can have these 3 guys swing at your opponent for that is 5, 8 plus 9 on the Gundam, that is 17. Or you can decrease the cost a little bit, the clash points even, attach Amuro, and you're probably not even going to be able, your opponent's not even going to be able to defend you. So huge critical power really in this particular starter. But of course, other factions also have their own edge. So if you come up against Xeon, loads of hand destruction. Come up against Oz, they have a lot of restate. They got Neo Titanium. They have also got a little bit of hand destruction. They also have really good removals as well. And Wing Gundam is mostly like a jack of all trades. It still has removal. In fact, it has a searchable removal, which is, in my opinion, a pretty big thing. Being able to just use wing mode to search for the 4-cost Wing Gundam. and then you can just blow it up, fine, and then you remove somebody's, kind of similar to what Ryu Jose does, but you don't even need to have a pilot attached to it, which is really cool. Uh, and plus they have the power of four, the Wing Gundam Zero Custom, which swings for 8. It does go to the defunct, but that's still an 8. You can make that unblockable with Circus, so that's an 8 damage, no questions asked. They also have the only counter, uh, the Peacecrafts. They also have hand destruction, the cheapest hand destruction, memory loss. Uh, Opponent discards 2 cards at random for 1 cost, which is brilliant. So yeah, I wouldn't underrate any of the factions. I would certainly, I would certainly advocate to try them all out if you can and see which one matches your playstyle the most. We currently don't have a format where you can mix the different factions. That might be something that comes down in the future, but right now we just want to polish the rules, test the rules, so they work to give you an immersive experience. Breaking the game is not what we want to do. We are taking our time. We are testing a lot. Hopefully, when it's all ready, you guys will enjoy uh, playing with Gundam MS War. But up until then, Bastian signing out. Sorry for the long video. Peace out.